pastor reached out and let us know that majority of his congregation was working from home. And since COVID, a lot of these home workers were not coming in. They were actually tithing at first online. But since they haven't been coming in, they lost the sense of connection to the church and the community. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can be able to spark interest of getting people to come back into the building, using it for their business sense, using it to build communities, using it to build economic development. Welcome to Develop by Faith. So you just remember, like, back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. When I say back in the day, I'm talking about before COVID, okay? Right? People used to just go to office spaces, and it was the thing, man. Yeah. It was a thing. You can go to the office space. I know when I sold real estate, I would go to my office and spend all day in my office working, and then I'll leave out, go meet with clients in the afternoons and do different things here and there. It was the thing. That was just it. You get the networking, you get the sense of kinship, like, hey, we're in this together. I knew about all my colleagues and such by first and last name. I can talk to them about anything. I can connect with them. We made plans together. I had all this strong stuff. And then the government came in and boom, COVID. COVID happened, and it was just kind of like, what? What you mean I can't go outside? What you mean I can't? You spoke about this one time in regards to the funerals, yes, saying that it was a cap on funerals. Nah, that's my uncle. I'm going to go see my uncle. I don't care what the governor or whoever said. I'm going to go see them. But you had this weird thing that happened to the species of humans who we are. Yeah. We are social creatures. So now when you take the sociability out of it, you make us into zombies. People working from home. You know how stressful that is? Like, to be at home, because my thing is this, I don't know about you, when I'm at home, I mean, I'm good now, because COVID trained me, like, hey, I can't be at home for long, because I know when I'm at home, I'm washing dishes, I'm doing laundry, I'm looking up new recipes and creating stuff. No, but I need to be working. I need to get stuff home. So now what I do is I'll walk out of my neighborhood, walk around, do stuff, make my phone calls and everything like that. Or I'll go, and it sounds crazy as heck, I'll take my laptop and go to someone else's house, and I'll be all productive working at their house as long as I'm not at home. But I've seen and noticed that now all these Fortune 500 companies are saying, you know what, y'all work from home all this time, our productivity went down. And if Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, Capital One, of all these major corporations, I said majority banks, but Amazon, there's a lot of other places saying that too. If all these places saying, hey, your productivity went down, imagine for the entrepreneur. Imagine for that young lady who has her own, I don't know, let's say we're going to call her Suzanne. Okay. Suzanne has a consulting business. Right. And she's at home, and she's not consulting as well as she used to consult. But Suzanne been at the church for a long time. I think the biggest thing, and you can speak about this, people go to church, a lot of times, they get the word, but they like the sense of community. Yeah. But if you can get people, I've always learned in real estate, if I'm always top of mind, you got to always see me. This is why you're going to see me, from you watching this video, you're going to see us all over your social media, but you don't know it yet. But that's what it's all about, to engage people and always be top of mind, Odell. And this is why this model works so well. It works so well. And it's different because everybody's not on it. However, there's a lot of places, a lot of churches or faith-based institutions that have this space. Remember, you guys, if you only use the church Sunday or whatever day you worship, and then you might have a wedding or a reception or something. You're not using office space like that. You're not using office space there. It's just there. And if you have Miss Betty Sue to do that, Miss Betty Sue can then, have a smaller office or smaller space in the church, allow some revenue generating businesses there. and allow them to collaborate, Odell, with that being said, you've had to work from home. I mean, you knew how it was being a pastor in that time. Tell me about some pitfalls that you had during COVID when you sat there and had to either preach from home or y'all had to say, hey, one person for every 5 feet at the church.
It's interesting that you would say that. And let me just hit on a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
During COVID, my wife, she's CFO of a major hospital firm. She worked from home. I went to work. I followed all the rules, put on the mask, went to work, sprayed the room and all this kind of good stuff. I would go to Walmart and buy the groceries and buy everything. Walmart, and when a lot of stores had to shut down because of essential items, Walmart make a killing. Walmart, because you went there for food, but while you were in there, other than toilet paper and hand towels and cleaning type things, you still went over there and maybe bought some clothing items that weren't essential items. So Walmart made a killing. But what we said, I told my wife, if somebody's going to get sick, because this was COVID, we didn't know. I will get sick. And, COVID made you have some real strong conversations about life. I would get sick. You stay home and you take care of the kids. That was the deal. So as the head of the household, I went out, I did the shopping. Anything that you get exposed to, I took on that responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that worked. But back to the lack of socialization, we say to people all the time, especially business people, young people starting their career, you learn from experience. But as soon as you say that, you have to ask, how do you learn from experiences you never had? So I say to people, institutional knowledge. And what I mean by that is this. In the workplace, you usually find someone, and they don't have to be a mentor, but someone who has a little more experience than you, who could say, well, Dale, consider looking at it this way, or consider looking at it that way. So that exchange around what we used to call the water cooler, us old folks, they know what that means. Just say, what are you working on? I'm working on this. Oh, yeah, I can help you on that. Because sometimes the person, whether it was grandma's porch or somebody with more experience, could help you through a situation, or at least give you an idea how to look at this situation from another perspective. Because a lot of times we want that obstacle out of our way.
Yeah, we do.
We want that person out of our way. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to back up. Sometimes you have to get another strategy. And I think that when we were all in the workplace together, a lot of that was natural. We would bring each other our challenges. What do you think about this, Key? Well, Dale, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd do it this way. And it wasn't the young coming to the old or the old coming to the young, because I would come to you and say, Key, what do you think about AI? I'm 65 years old. Your thoughts on AI would be different than my thoughts on AI. And that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, because AI is not 100% correct, but it's not 100% wrong either. So that's what I think, that when the church allows itself to be that incubator or that place where people can interact, because COVID is over now, can interact and learn from each other. And some people, like you stated that you couldn't stay at home, well, you're probably an extrovert. You're probably an extrovert. You need energy of other people. You need to be, hey, what's up? How's your weekend? Yada, yada. And some other people I wish Key would just shut up.
Yeah.
Because they are introvert. They don't that kind of energy. So I think it's one of those situations that by the church allowing itself to allow other individuals to come in, it'll do two things. It will energize that base, but also the church is bringing in resources. So if I am a technical person and I'm coming to the church to work in my space, if the church asks me, Odell, I'm having problems with my email, you know what I'm probably going to do? I'm probably going to fix it for them at no charge.
Yeah.
Just to say, because we know each other, we talk, we're talking about the weekends, we're doing all those things. Those are the things which I call institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
That sometimes when you're new to an institution, you don't know what you don't know. Back to my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, well, we need to change this and change this. You don't know that we've done that in the past. However, the laws say you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or you know, we know you young and we know you got all ideas and you have all the answers before you even hear the questions. But let us slow down a little bit to learn from each other.
You know, one of the greatest models, I think, everything's already done underneath the sun. We can agree to that. I used to do a lot of room rentals. I still do room rentals. And
I'm sorry.
Room rentals.
Room rentals. Okay.
So
I'm a little slow.
Oh, you're good.
I'm a little old.
I
sometimes my
fast.
ear, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm hard at hearing.
Yeah,
you know how to. Yeah. So help the old man out.
Yeah. So I would rent rooms, and I had a mentor kind of show me this model, and he says, you know, people want to buy all these houses and they're not profitable. And he said, versus if you just have one house, one HVAC, one hot water heater, one roof, you can then get X amount of income, and you can have vacancies and still not have to worry about not paying the bills. Because if you have one tenant, you might get $200 of profit per month, or $300, $500. That's nothing, because when your HVAC goes out, right? HVAC might be, you know, $12,000.
Yeah.
You're down from profit for the next 2-3 years if you're only making $500 a month to cover that, right? But if you rent the rooms,
you went to church. Look at the church. That's what we're
like
talking about.
That's the house.
The new office, co-working revolution.
If you have the co-working revolution,
will I have Wi-Fi?
You have to have Wi-Fi.
So the church can provide Wi-Fi?
You have to provide strong, secured Wi-Fi.
Will I have a parking space?
You have to have a parking space.
Can I park in the pastor's reserved parking place?
If you pay for it. Now, look, we talking about two different, you can do two
the
models. The
pastor ain't there all week. Can I park in his spot?
He ain't there all week. You may even have it where, hey, visitors parking, but for you to park close to the building, depending on how big your organization is, you can pay a premium to park in the pastor's parking spot on these days.
I like that.
On top of that, right, we'll make sure that, you know, you have good security.
Right.
Security is key with this, because if I'm a business owner and I'm bringing in stuff that can be, you know, whether it's personal or business, you know, information about clients, if I'm an attorney or whatever the case is, and I have clients' personal information, or if I'm a medical consultant, I have to make sure HIPAA have all this. There has to be some type of security in place for that, right? So we know we got to have strong Wi-Fi.
Security cameras.
Okay. Whether key fob to get inside the building. I mean, think about a Regis. You guys, Regis is pretty big over here, where they have like a building and all these office spaces, conference rooms, and things like that. A WeWork. That's another very profitable business. You know, I know after COVID, a lot of these places like WeWork or like a Regis were popping up in these warehouses. They made them look modern looking and such. And I remember saying, oh, this is really nice. And then too, like tech hubs. We even touched that. A tech hub. Let's talk about that. You mentioned AI, right? A tech hub is, you know, where all these techies go to be able to develop stuff. And depending on how you're structured with it, you can, as a church, can say, hey, we'll bring y'all all together. You may pay us a monthly fee, but if y'all come up with something, we'll trademark it and work with y'all on percentage ownership of this to be able to roll it out. You might be like, what? Well, why would we do that? Well, it's a couple of things. They might can come up with an app that's revolutionary, but just like we were talking about the water cooler thing, right? There might be, you know, one person that's real good on doing, you know, coding. Another person might be real good in actually app analytics and marketing. Another person might be good from this. Then they all might get together and come up with the next best app that can really change the world. But they wouldn't have been there if the church wasn't able to do and put everything together. It also gives for a way for these businesses to become very profitable. Church is a 501c3 typically, you know, depending on how you guys are structured. You can be a 501c A or F or whatever the case is. But depending on how you're structured, I got these business owners is not profitable. They need to pay taxes. Why don't you just donate to the church to help everything out? Now you guys can share and talk with them on that, or have a CPA talk or reach out to them for that. But I just think it's a lot of resources that can be done and given to them. And you look at how a company can actually grow and expand. You want to have it real nice. You want to have it, looking real good in there. You want to make it where if I have this space, do this company feel comfortable bringing their clients in and having meetings with them about money? Yeah. And you have to look at it like that. Now, that's a realization question for you. A lot of people reach out to us and say, hey, we want to redo our fellowship hall and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, great. We'll help you with that, right? We'll help you develop that and put it all together. However, why don't we add this other anchor to help pay the note on this? Right. Because if you're going in, just say if you did decide to go in debt, or if you decide to however do what, you still need money. You need capital to do all this. How about we sprinkle some of this in there too? We can have some offices for the church members that work and run the church, but we don't need that many offices for them. And then we can break everything out. Just do the numbers, right? If you say $500 per office, right. But if it's a $500 office, I would say recommend you look at where small business owners are looking at in the community and say, hey, is this compatible, and is it a good deal? I always look at it like this, right? I always say, Odell, what's your favorite car?
Ford Expedition.
Ford Expedition, right? So I got 2 Ford Expeditions here, right? Do you like leather seats?
Yes.
Okay. Got one all decked out, Eddie Bauer edition. It's all everything, all the bells and whistles. Let's say that one's $110,000, but then you got one that basic, and it's $76,000. Outside looking in, you look the same in it from everybody else, but when you inside, you get to do all these other things. The question is, which one's a better value?
The $107,000, and let me explain why. Because I wouldn't buy it brand new. I would buy it a year and a half old to get what I want, but let somebody else get that top part off of it.
Well, let's do this. Let's say it is brand new. You have the option to buy the 110.
I'm not going to buy a brand new vehicle. You're right. No, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to buy the 70,000 one. Yes. Because for me, money is a tool, TOOL, not a toy, TOY.
We need to trademark that.
That's free.
Yeah.
That's free.
Money is a tool, TOOL, not a TOY, a toy. Right. And when you look at how you chose that, consumers look the same way. They want to say, hey, I want to be able to get my point across XYZ. Now, there is a market for those people that, hey, I'll pay the money as long as I got XYZ.
But value added and goodwill. Two things that people don't understand. Value added says if you rent from the church, you have access to as many parking spaces you want during the week. But also, if you're having an event and you need to utilize a fellowship hall, we would work with you on that at a first availability, but also at a discounted rate. And more importantly, that now we will let our church members know that you are someone who is partnering with us, because it's about a partner. We talked about it's not a transactional deal. It's not a customer. It's transformative. You're a client working together. So we want people to know that we have a CPA firm in our church who's working, who we can put our stamp of approval on. So if you want your taxes done, come to the church.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Come to the church. Come to the church.
I'll do that all day.
Because it's a certain sense of goodwill and comfort that I know that if my pastor, my leadership has approved this person or this entity to be in the church, then I know that person is proven.
You can't beat that.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. But I just think it's a way of looking at it from a different perspective that, yes, value added and goodwill, meaning that we're putting our stamp on it as a church to say we vetted this individual. You've heard of Angie's List?
Yep.
Now, Angie got mad with her partner, so now it's not Angie's List anymore. Now it's called Angie's, but it's the same thing, is that who's going to give recommendations. And my wife is telling me about some thing she shops on online, and I forgot what it's called, but it says that if you get so many complaints, you can't sell your stuff on that site anymore.
I love it.
Etsy or something like that.
Yeah.
If you get so many complaints, so it's almost like if you get so many complaints and that's in the contract, you can't stay at this church. You can't do business at this church if we get feedback on you that's negative. Business.
I love it. And a lot of times people don't trust contractors, right? For whatever reason. Contractors get a
Sometimes
bad
contracts are messy though.
Yeah.
Sometimes contracts are messy, especially the guys sometimes who trying to do it out of the back of their truck, and they don't have all the things necessary to do right, and they take advantage. And in a lot of cases, not all, but a lot of cases, they take advantage of females.
Well, going back to you saying that they don't have the right tool, TOOL,
right,
or have the right tools. But just say a contractor, right?
Yes.
Contractor, a plumber, electrician, or whatever the case is, they can have their hub there,
right,
in the sense of where they meet customers or whatever, and have their trucks kind of parked out in the parking lot, and they might pay for their trucks to be there, right? And there's two incomes that you get because you opened up this model. Now, here's the thing with that. You may be able to help them get business in your congregation or in the community. They may be able to partner with you to do things, to engage back in the community. I mean, this all comes back to being able to empower these businesses, giving them the space where they can work, giving them the resources where they can work, and allow it to flow. And here's what happened with that. It becomes a point where everybody in the community get to know this contractor, and the contractor gets to know everybody in the community. And then who do they have to donate to when it comes to tax issues or problems they may have? I made all this much money, I got to do something with it. Well, the church is trying to do this. The church is wanting this, X, Y, Z. Naturally, the contractor would just donate, if they're a smart contractor, to the church to kind of, cut back on those expenses for that. And all the church is going to do is probably invest in something that's going to benefit that contractor.
I think it's one of those situations where it makes sense. But again, that's not the contract itself. But I think, to your point, and you're absolutely correct, in addition to that, a lot of times people in the church don't know who to trust when it comes to contractors, because some contractors, and I know exactly what I'm talking about here, come in to start a job and don't finish the job, or try to do too many things. Meaning, I have a job over here, I have a job over there, and I'm just going to deal with everything, but you can't close on anything. Now, don't mean you're not good. It's just that you, sir, you, ma'am, as a contractor, don't understand the fact that you're leaving this individual. They're calling you saying, when you coming back, and you tell them you're coming back and you're going to be there. And maybe, just maybe, if you come into church, you don't have to keep running behind business. Business will run behind you if you do it right and you get that seal of approval. That's just the truth of the matter, is because a lot of times people running behind business, and people try to sell folks. You don't have to sell someone on what you do, Mr. Contractor. They will find you. When they need you, they're going to ask the question, do you know anyone who does a good job servicing my AC unit? Do you know anyone who does a good job changing the oil in my car? Do you know anyone who does a good job on painting? Do you know anyone who does a good job on hair? Do you know anyone who does a good job on cutting hair? That's what people ask the question. Yeah. You don't have to sell them.
No, you don't.
They just want to know you're going to do quality job at a fair price, and you're going to do what you say you're going to do. That goes to the contractor, whether it's a barber, beautician, or whomever, and it goes to the church. If you say you're going to have the place open at a certain time, then have it open at a certain time. I think this is an excellent example of economic development in a community that's accessible and trusted.
I agree. And think of it like this too. You guys, the church can actually hire someone to be a receptionist throughout the day, business hours, to be there. And a lot of these places, just say you charge $500 for a physical office, right? It might come with a couple of desks, nice little thing, chairs or whatever inside of it, where they could store their stuff, nice little fixtures and stuff inside the office, a lock for the room and everything. But yet, you may have people that just need a virtual office in the sense of you might have someone who works from home but want to meet clients at the church.
There you go.
And there might be an office space they can go on and book the office, but they get their mail picked up there because they don't want their personal address out and about with their information. So whenever someone goes to Google them or look them up or say, hey, where I can meet them, where's their office? They have that. Any certified mails, checks, or whatever the case is, can go to the office receptionist can get that and file it inside of their mailbox. Right. They can get mail there, and that might be a monthly fee of $20, $25, or who knows. But just imagine if you have, $125
right every month.
Yes. Of just people registering their mail there every month to be able to pick up things. Then you have the people, just say if you had, we're saying $500 a room. Say you have, 20 rooms. What does that equate to?
Yeah.
Right?
1,000.
So 20 rooms, you're talking about $10,000. Mm-hmm. We're just talking about $12,000 off of this model.
Right.
Just basically just utilizing your space. And, going back to my example earlier, there are so many churches that built this whole thing out where they have all these offices and want to have a big staff and stuff. And we noticed that sometimes that kind of dwindled away and you have these offices that aren't being used.
Storage, junk closets.
Yes.
I work in churches.
Yeah.
A lot of, I go in and they give me the tour and I don't go in that office. That's a junk office. Mm-hmm. It's a junk office. That's what's happening. And we know it. We all know it. That's the junk office. That's the closets. And it's funny when you think about it. My personal business, I have an office in Greensboro, North Carolina at the Nussbaum Center. I serve on that board, so I believe in having an office there. But I also have an office in Rock Hill, South Carolina. But my office in Rock Hill, South Carolina, that address is the UPS store. UPS store provides the exact same thing, P.O. boxes, use this address because I don't want people coming to my house. Mm-hmm. And that makes all the difference in the world. So if UPS store can do it, if I could do the office in Nussbaum Center in Greensboro, North Carolina, that I probably haven't been in that office in about a year or so. I go by and pick up my mail and everything else. Why wouldn't I do it for a church in Greensboro? Why wouldn't I do it for a church in South Carolina? Why wouldn't I? Would be glad to do that. Yeah. I'd be glad to do that. Mm-hmm. I'd be glad to do that.
You're empowering the people in the community. You're empowering the people in the congregation. You're just getting people to come together. And that's the whole purpose of this series of Developed by Faith is how do we take the religious center and turn it into a community center? Yes, it's still religion is still there. However, how do we capture that audience and bring it all together and have a sense of community? And when you have a sense of community, people do a lot better. When I look at communities where things thrive and a lot of economic development, happen, things like this intertwine. You might have a coffee shop and then have 20 different suites for different businesses in the area. People might come in and meet and things. Now the church can capture off of that. If you employ the ghost kitchen model that we talked about a previous episode, now you can feed the people. People can do work and business and then they can get a bite to eat there. Yep. It might be a cynical place where people can just come and hang out after church and do things at the church while utilizing.
You ever had any pecan coffee before? You never heard of pecan coffee?
I never had it, but I want some now.
Okay. I'm going to have to bring you some pecan coffee. Just imagine you walk into church, a certain part, and you have pecan coffee. The aroma is everywhere. Miss Susie makes the best desserts over here. So Miss Susie brings her desserts in early in the morning. You pay her for her desserts, and this is fine. I go to a lot of coffee houses, and you always see somebody bringing things in, the delivery person bringing things in. The coffee house don't bake all those desserts. Those desserts are delivered fresh every morning, and that's how it works. So the person who's bringing them in, that's economic development for them. Yeah. The coffee house itself. I have a large client church in Raleigh-Durham area, and they have a coffee station built right there outside the sanctuary. So in a lot of times when the people come to church early, they gather, they drink coffee. When church is over, everyone hangs around. They usually hang around in the parking lot because it's whoever's responsible, the deacon's trying to secure the church. But how about you could sit around and talk, socialize, or do business or whatever you have to do after church in the coffee house. And the kids have desserts. You can do whatever because you're going to Starbucks anyway.
You are.
You're going to Panera Bread anyway.
You are.
And to your point, all these different places that people are going in, you go to your local Panera Bread and you see who's sitting there with a laptop doing work. You go to your local Starbucks and see who's sitting there doing work. You go to your local church and see who's not sitting there doing work. Enough said. Point proven.
You just dropped the mic on that, Odell. I mean, I guess kind of that's the episode. No, I'm joking. But with that being said, like, just think about it, you guys. Think about it. Imagine how the trajectory of your community will change.
Yes.
As well as all the church itself or the center itself, right? When everybody can come there for resources.
Right.
See, it was like that back in the day.
Yeah.
And there was legislation passed to kind of cut all that stuff out where you couldn't say certain things, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, you couldn't be really the beacon of the community. But now with the big, beautiful bill, some people call it a big, beautiful bill, some people call it a big, ugly bill. Don't really matter. The bill was passed, it changed the trajectory, and you have to be able to adjust towards that to be able to make sure you still can take care of those in your community and those who are moving to your community, right? So having the co-working space open, when you talk about the UPS store, no knock to UPS whatsoever. I love UPS, but when you go to the UPS store, you can't meet people there for business.
No, all I go there to do is check my P.O. box, but I really was renting the address more than anything else.
That's it.
I have a location in North Carolina. I have a location in South Carolina. That's all.
I want to point this out, y'all, to really bring it all together. Co-working, you have to have good security. You have to have great Wi-Fi.
Good coffee, pecan coffee and desserts from Susie Q, because everybody knows Susie Q could bake.
Everybody knows Susie Q can bake. And three, four, I guess four now. Four after Susie Q baking her tail off.
And Susie Q getting paid. Because she's doing more than just, usually we get her sweets around Thanksgiving and stuff. Now Susie Q is an entrepreneur. Susie, you turned Susie Q into an entrepreneur because you gave her an environment that she could succeed in. Come on, somebody. Preach, preacher.
The community, the sense of community, to be able to say, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to, connect with other people who are in business here, or if just having it as a social, open to the public place where people can just hang out. It is really, really important. Now, I'm going to say this, the co-working fails because of bad tech and zero security. We actually have a tech stack blueprint from automated billing to insurance-approved access control, so the pastor isn't the receptionist.
No, pastor can't be the receptionist. Pastor's not good at taking orders.
They're not. Pastor's good to delegate. They will delegate, but we have the proven systems of what you would need to be able to have the workspace open for you, your congregation, and the community. All we're asking is click the link below, fill out the form. We will reach out to you all, and let's have a conversation. Let's do an analysis to see if your church or your faith-based organization, or if you're building, because you don't really necessarily, with this model, you don't really have to have a church. You can have any form of real estate, any kind of event space to be able to do this. Well, let's have a conversation and go over the check marks and make sure that, hey, this is a good fit for you all. Odell, any final words?
I'm just saying, here's the opportunity. You prayed, you've cried, you spent time before God saying, God, I know you've given me this vision. Write the vision down, make it plain, so those who see it will run. Here's the chance. You prayed. You've cried. You've asked God. God, send people to me who can help me. It's interesting. I've, meet with these pastors, and sometimes I have opportunity to go to their church on Sundays, and I've literally verbatim heard pastors say what we've shared with them in the meetings on how this one in particular was talking about the land. And it's like, we don't have money, but we have land. But y'all know land is money. And that's what we told the pastor. So now the pastor understands the importance of the land being like a gold mine. But what I say to people too, whether your land is a gold mine or an oil field, someone has to put in the work to show you how to get the gold out of the land or get the oil from out of the land and get it to a point where you could utilize it to benefit what you're called to do. Someone just have to show them how to get the gold out. That's all. Because it's no good having the gold down there if you can't benefit from it. And we're there to show them how to do it. Last words. That's it, sir.
I want to point this out. Your fellowship hall is worth $1 million. You only use it 1 hour a week for coffee. That's not good business sense. That's bad financial management. You guys do not forget to like, subscribe, comment below. Click the link, fill out the form. Let us help you bridge the gap between being scarce to abundant with community. This is Developed by Faith. We appreciate you guys for sticking around and listening to this show.